The breaking of the baptismal font. That Dante doesn't harbour much sympathy for traditional baptism, one can also grasp from the strange event that he himself narrates, that is, of when he was accused of breaking a baptismal font in the baptistry in Florence. From the description, it's not easy to tell exactly how it was made, also because the original has been lost for centuries. Certainly, it was composed of several wells or holes, large enough to hold an adult. Of these holes, Dante says that they were made as basins for battezzatori, page 169. The meaning is uncertain. Some understand battezzatori as the plural of baptistry, and so they understand the holes as places in which the baptistries are placed. Others, to my mind better, as the plural of battezzatore, and in that case it deals with the place where the priests who baptize stand. Whatever might be the function of these holes, Dante declares, and one of these, not many years ago, I broke for someone who was drowning in it, and let this be my seal to set men straight. Hell 19 to 21. To say that it is disrespectful in the context of such an important sacrament is to say little, also because there was no need to relate this account, given that it didn't contribute anything to the understanding of the discourse. There is then a strange aspect to it. The rules of rhetoric prohibit in absolute terms any references to a person's personal life. So, if Dante has violated the strict rules with this account, that is the one autobiographical incision in the whole poem. He must have had a valid reason. Perhaps such a motive is lightly foreshadowed in the prophetic last verse, and would have the intent of freeing the reader from an illusion. But what illusion? His son Pietro explains in his comments that it's a matter of correcting the different wrong opinions that Dante had broken it through his arrogance, not out of kindness. But there are also those who have read the episode as a warning to the reader not to be deceived. In the water of baptism practiced by the Roman Church, one risks drowning, of dying spiritually. Let's see the context. We are in hell, in the pouch dedicated to the simoniacs, that is, of the forlorn disciples of Simon Magus, as the first verse of the canto dedicated to them recites. Who was Simon Magus? Of him the Acts of the Apostles say, there was for a time in the city one called Simon, who practiced magic and amazed the inhabitants of Samaria, posing as a great person. When Peter and John, though, arrived in Samaria and were performing the laying on of hands on people, and these received the Holy Spirit, page 170, Simon offered them money, saying, give to me also this power, so that, to whoever I lay on my hands, they receive the Holy Spirit. But Peter answered him, may you go to ruin, you and your money, because you thought of buying the gift of God with money. It is clear that the Simon Magus character is strictly connected to the baptism practiced by the first apostles, and then of the Cathars, which is to say, that of the laying on of the hands. The simoniacs, we have already met them when speaking of confession, are inserted upside down in holes from which protrude the lower legs. On the soles of their feet there are flames that Dante describes with great precision. It is not the foot that burns, the flames only lick the soles. This image can only remind us of the tongues of fire that descended on the heads of the apostles on the day of Pentecost, comments Schiavacchi. It is a fierce sarcastic accusation of the popes of his times, unworthy successors to the apostles. Summing up, in a poem that recalls Simon Magus, who wanted to acquire the power to transmit the Holy Spirit with the laying on of hands, the baptism practiced by the Cathars, Dante meets the popes who have the sign of the descent of the Holy Spirit, not on the head, but on the soles of the feet, and who are inserted upside down in holes that are identical to those of the fonts in which baptism was administered with water, and that he had broken to save one who was drowning. I think there may be no need to comment, and the reason why Dante inserted this personal episode and the deception that he wanted to warn the reader against are all too clear. Vittorio Sermonti sees a brutal parody of baptismal immersion in the episode where some of the damned submerged the wrathful Filippo Argenti in the muddy swamp of the Styx. I wouldn't know, but if it was, it would be a further proof of Dante's disdain for this sacrament.